Imagine now the music playing us in softly. It cuts. I say, welcome to another edition of This Is Silly with the Louligans. My friend Mitch normally says that, but he's up in the booth pressing buttons. My friend Matt is sitting there.
Shut up, dickhead.
Thank you. He's not going to be working hard today at all. Just wanted to say thank you for coming out. Monday was our 8th anniversary as a podcast. We've been doing this for 8 years. Happy that it gives us, thank you. Happy that it gives us an opportunity to do things like tonight. Also, the Louligans have been around for 9 years, so. When we first started publicizing this, a couple weeks ago, several other teams and fans were very jealous that we get to do this. So I want you all to appreciate the fact that our leadership here is giving us a night to ask them questions. So, really grill them. But be respectful. Except for Fred. Well, Fred's used to abuse. He likes it. I'm going to go ahead and introduce these guys. Oh, first, tomorrow's the last day to buy your scarves for 2019 at a discount, so get that scarf money in tonight. If you pre-ordered a shirt with Belleville Screen Printing Company, such as the shirt I'm wearing here or the fabulous hoodies you see, they are up here and Mandy will dig through that box and find yours. And, okay, first up, CEO of Worldwide Technology, CEO of St. Louis FC, and a part of a little group called MLS for the Lou, Jim Cavanaugh. Sitting next to Jim, head coach for St. Louis FC, Ant Poulis. In the middle, president of St. Louis FC, Pat Berry. Next to Pat, Jeremy Allenbaugh, vice president and GM of St. Louis FC. And on the end, Mr. Tom Strunk, also known as Fred, the COO or CFO of Worldwide Technology and St. Louis FC. I'm going to let each of the guys sort of give an introduction, say what they want to say, and then after they're done talking, we'll take Q&A from the crowd, and if you want to line up over here by Greg, raise your hand if people don't know Greg. So like as soon as Fred starts talking, start lining up if you have questions. Okay? Thanks.
Thank you. So first of all, just sitting up here, when he's kind of going through the intros for us, it kind of felt like the dating game up here. It's like, all right, and we got this. I think Anthony would probably win that, but anyway, that is not why we're here. But I just want to say, on a very sincere and exciting note, thank you guys for all you do. Really, if you look at it, 9 years now, you got more history than the team does. So it means a lot to me. It means a lot to all of us up here, all that you guys do every year. You bring a level of passion to the club and to everything that we do and to the games that you can't go out and buy that. So it's not something you either have it or you don't. And you guys have it, and it's very contagious, and it's very exciting, and it's very much appreciated by me and the entire team up here. So again, I just want to thank you very much for all you do. Look forward to our conversation tonight and a great season in front of us.
Thank you. I'll echo what Jim said. And
This is Anthony Poulis.
Hard to tell.
Can you not tell with the English accent? Thank you again for all coming out tonight. And I think I've not really had a proper opportunity to. I know I think I did a message after the OKC game that I think went out on social media, but I just want to go on record and thank you all for your incredible support last year. Any sports team will tell you, you go through ups and downs and you go through peaks and troughs and periods of adversity and periods of good times, but you stuck with us all the way through, and I can't thank you enough for that. on behalf of the staff and the players, and we're really, really excited and looking forward to this season. Can't wait to see you all out there for the home opener against Indy, and hopefully we can give you another really good season to be proud of us. So thanks again.
5 years, holy cow. So I won't be repetitive, thank you. I think everybody in this room knows how I feel about the support that you give us. We're very, very grateful. My only message is we are a community-based team. We're here for you, we're here for the game, and so anything that we can do to make it better, please let us know.
No applause for Pat? Okay.
I thought it was decent. No, I just, like everybody said, just can't thank you enough. We tell our front office staff, every Monday morning, you know, we cannot take our fans, our season ticket holders, our supporters for granted. It's something that we talk about every week, and it's a focal point, and I hope you know that we don't take the support for granted. As Ant said, through the ups and downs, or peaks and troughs, whatever, never heard that one before, but through everything that comes that way, we really do appreciate it. We know it's not easy to plan your Saturdays around coming out to the park or wherever we're playing, following us around, but we really do appreciate it, and just echo the sentiments, looking forward to, you know, a fantastic season here in 2019. Thank you.
Didn't want to leave Jeremy hanging. I'm Tom Strunk for the podcast, Brad. Just to let you know I'm listening to
Thanks, Tom.
rules, paying attention. I will be repetitive. Thank you, very sincerely. Each of these individuals said it, but we're not the same club without your support. I also can't believe it's been 5 years. It seems like yesterday that we were in this room talking about the announcement of our club, and there was maybe 14 of you, or 15, standing right over there, wondering what's going to lie ahead. Is this going to last? Is this sustainable? Well, we've certainly proven it's sustainable, and with the success last year on the field to match our off-the-field success, largely driven by you, we think we've got a great foundation to build upon in 2019. So thank you again from the bottom of our hearts. We're looking forward to a great year, and let's take your questions.
Okay, and before we start the questions, we've got a line right here, so if anybody wants to ask a question, get behind Stuart. I do want to mention Jeremy Cowan and Corey Nava and a few of the other sales reps are around back there. If you haven't got your season tickets yet, might be a good time to do that. By the way, show of hands, who's got season tickets? That's pretty good. All right, everybody who doesn't have season tickets, raise your hand. Okay, guys, the people raising their hands right now are the ones you want to talk to. Okay, Stuart Holgren has the first question. Make it count, Stuart.
That's a lot of pressure. All right, so a lot of you mentioned the success last year, making the playoffs. Just a general question, what are some goals that, as an organization, the club has for 2019?
Really simple, to be better than last year. To win more games, to lose less games, score more goals, concede less goals.
And host a playoff game.
And sell more tickets to the game. Honestly, we need to continue to get better in every single area, both on and off the field. So you should hold us to that standard, and that's what we're expecting from ourselves.
All right, Jim wants to add to it.
Fewer injuries.
Seriously, I mean, you could expect it what is coming out of Tom. He's a CFO. I mean, tickets, you could, I mean, more revenue, more concessions, more, no, what did we miss? Come on.
An MLS announcement.
Well, that's one. What else did we miss?
Title.
Championship. Yes, that's what we're shooting for. Now, no pressure. So,
I like his strategy.
yes, no, there's a process to get there, but I like to get to the final. So, no, I could sit here and talk to myself about that, but I think the championship, I mean, you should getting into any game. And I even look at like last year, the season, you know, obviously our playoff game didn't go the way we wanted it to go, but I think as we were building up, even though it was a tough season starting, you know, you don't know what's going to happen once you get into the playoffs, and that has to be our goal. I mean, I don't want to be unrealistic about, you know, the capability the team's got to build, but I'm very excited about, you know, Ant being back in here for the second year, building his team, you know, on a foundation of players that have played together, that I think is just going to put us in a much, much stronger position. And we should, not unrealistically, but we should be shooting for that championship. It's not an easy goal, but it is one that I think we should collectively go in thinking, hey, that's the ultimate prize. So.
Hey guys, I see we got a new field on the off season. Is there any other improvements or anything else we could be seeing around the park for the next season? Any upgrades?
It didn't flood.
It did flood?
Yeah. Except the F word.
Yes, so your corner's so popular, we built a patio next to it. You can't see it because there's about 5 feet of snow on top of it right now. But on each end of the field, there are concrete patios now where there used to be turf. And so those will be hospitality and kind of social gathering areas that we haven't had before, that we're really excited about. Again, if you look out there now, it doesn't look like much, but it will come March 9th. So we've done that. Jeremy, anything else I missed? Those are the two, clearly the biggest, two biggest things. And the turf field, very nice and very expensive, but this club has invested year over year in the pro team and in the facilities and just in the game in general, and so that's another example that's sitting out there right now.
This question is for the coach. You mentioned peaks and troughs last season, and I don't think I'm the only person that was worried after the Vegas game. And then after the Vegas game, we kind of went on a real tear. What happened there? What did we change? And the second part of the question is, what did you learn last season being in charge of an independent team as opposed to an MLS2 team?
So first of all, what changed? We got healthy. I think we had a stretch where we had to, due to league rules, name 5 subs, but there were probably 4 or 5 games where we only had 3 of those were actually healthy. And then there was one game out here against RGV where 3 of those subs were defenders. So I think we got the group healthy and we stuck together. I was confident, and it's difficult to come out and say I believe in the group and I believe we're going to reach our objective when you go through tough spells, but I genuinely believed in them because I knew what they were capable of. We worked extremely hard every day. I saw the togetherness and the spirit grow as the year went on. And it was really down to the players sticking together and trusting in the coaching staff and the messages that we were giving them every day. And ultimately, we did what we set out to do. I think that was the objective at the start of the year, was to make the playoffs. For the first time in the club's history, we did that. And now it's a case of, like I said, without being repetitive and sounding boring, we want to be better than what we were last year. Of course, we'd love to win a championship. We'd love to have a home playoff game. But I think we gelled, the guys got a real good understanding of how we want to play, in possession, out of possession, transitions. And we're very repetitive with our messages so that they become clear and they almost become second nature. So I think going into this year, we're way ahead of where we were 12 months ago because we've got 11 guys that know exactly how we want to play. They know how we want to work, what's expected on a day-to-day basis. Now, are we going to have to tweak certain things to get better? Of course we are. We'll look at different things throughout the course of pre-season, and it's not going to be a case of March 9 against India, we're going to be absolutely perfect. Because in my eyes, we're never going to be perfect. Because I always want to get better, I always want to improve, and we've got players that have a mentality where they want to get better and they want to improve as well. So I think the fact that we got healthy, the fact that we'd had a certain amount of adversity and we got through that, because I think when you go through periods of adversity, you become stronger and you grow, and then obviously you get confident. We went on a stretch of, what was it, 10 home games at the end, nine of those were wins, one was a draw. Winning breeds confidence, and you sometimes need maybe a couple of fortunate 1-0 wins here and there to give you that momentum, that confidence, and obviously in the end we got over the line and had a really strong year.
Independent team versus...
Sorry, yeah, I was carried away. Independent team. Well, I think I've got a group of players that I can work with on a day-to-day basis, that I can mould and help improve and help develop as individuals and as a group, whereas with the second team in Orlando, I never had a consistent group to work with, so it was always kind of papering over cracks, and I was still trying to prepare a team to win, but now in this position, I've got a group of players that I know I'm going to have every single day to work with. Now you've got the added challenge of managing individuals and trying to keep everybody happy, because with the second team, you always kind of had that excuse, oh, well, players are coming down from the MLS roster, and they kind of knew that, whereas now that was a challenge issue, was managing the individuals, especially the ones that are not playing. But we kind of set out from day one what the expectations are and how important it is that they've got a team first mentality, and that's been the case this year with the recruitment process, is making sure that guys come in and know that the team spirit and the togetherness aspect of our culture is one of the most important values. So coming in again to this year, we've got a real good group of people, good characters that have got the right mentality that fit the culture. And I know I've kind of harped on about that since day one, but I genuinely believe it's vitally important to any successful, not sports team. Jim and Tom will probably second it in any organisation, and I believe we've got that. So now we, like I said, we can't wait to get going on Monday and get to work again.
Good evening, guys. I just wanted to say it's been a real pleasure seeing the progress of the club over the last 5 years. We've seen a lot of turnaround in players, and I'm happy to see that we've got quite a few returning names this year. But something I haven't really heard too much about, given our crop of academy players that always seem to get better and better. Do we have any idea about potentially returning players like Aiden or Jack, or if there's any new surprises coming down the pipe?
So with academy players and academy contracts, once they start their first day of college soccer and NCAA soccer, they're no longer eligible to play for us. So Aiden and Jack and Seth that we saw last year, once they started their college careers this fall, and they all did well, by the way. I mean, I think Jack played every game for a team that went to the College Cup, and no surprise to us, maybe a surprise to some people because he didn't get regular team minutes, but we saw what he did every day in training and the Open Cup and preseason. So good job by him, and Aiden followed up with what he did here at the ACC conference with Duke. So those guys are not eligible to come back and play for us anymore until they make the decision to turn pro. So in terms of those guys, it's kind of it. I'm sure you're going to see them around the park. They'll both be back training with us this summer, as well as some other opportunities to get some games and training opportunities that way. In terms of this year's academy, it's a great question with those players coming in, because we do have a strong base. We do have probably a younger base coming in this year, so I don't anticipate, we don't anticipate them perhaps earning the amount of minutes that Aiden was able to get last year, but some guys that have a few more years, similar to what Aiden and Jack had building up, they need time. And we'll be announcing, depending if we get league approval tomorrow or over the weekend, 5 guys that will be joining us from the academy that will be filling in. It's part of our roster build process, so when Ant and I sit down and start going through the roster, we know we're going to need a set number of academy guys to help us out, to fill out roles and responsibilities. And there's a couple of, like I said, younger ones. There's also a couple of what we would call late bloomers. One of them is a kid that came in last fall, was not on our radar, and just really impressed when he trained with us all through the fall season, September, October, build up to the playoffs, and had a good academy season in the fall, and was able to earn an opportunity to be with us every day. It's an important piece of the club. It's something that Ant believes in, grew up in that system where those guys need that opportunity, and we're excited to see what they can do and what they can add to us this year, for sure.
Well, you got it. Any more signings coming down the pipeline, GM?
There's one more sign that we haven't announced publicly. Player just arrived actually in the States here today. He'll be announced, Tyler, Saturday? Saturday, he'll be announced on Saturday. So one more announcement. In terms of signings, loans, all those things, those are always possibilities, but we have one more that we'll announce on Saturday.
And Jim, since it's tradition, when there's an MLS bid, I have property on the riverfront I want to talk about and hijack this meeting. Actually, in all seriousness, he's hiding in the corner. Jones, we got to talk to you for a moment. Brian Jones is back in that corner. He's hiding, the goalie coach. You were getting out of this. So, for those that don't know, Jonesy's been around for a long time around here. He makes amazing goalies. And this is the first year that you've had both goalies returning?
That's correct.
So in terms of what we're looking at here, how are we, because we saw both guys do really well last year. Is this something where we're going to see these guys kind of do a 1A, 1B again? Or are we looking at Tomas being a dominant number one this year? Is it all up to the air? Where are we headed with the keepers?
Yeah, I think it's like what we told. We had individual meetings today with these players, and it's what we said to them today. Starting Monday, it's game on. And we know that both of those players are capable. They've proved that they're capable in the past and have had success, and so we're not really pigeonholed into one or the other. It's going to be about what your performance is, and that's what sport is about. It's based on merit, so you're going to perform, and whoever feels, and as a staff, we feel is performing the best, that's who we'll put out there on that particular game day. So we're not going to make a decision one way or the other, and we're going to let the chips fall where they may. You know, they're both good kids. They're both going to work hard. They're both going to do everything they can to be out there and earn the jersey, and we'll just see what happens.
Spencer, I was wondering if Jeremy or Ant could talk about the new guys that we brought in. I know you're probably going to say they all have good character. But do you have a little insight into each one, why you brought them here, and what they showed you that you've seen before, or your experience with them in the past?
Just to go on record, I'm never going to get bored of saying somebody's got a good character if they have. And I can say, hand on heart, we won't sign somebody if they haven't got a good character. I think you saw last year with the group, and I know you're kind of laughing at it, but I think you saw last year with the group we had how well you connected with them. So I wouldn't ever take for granted the importance of that character piece, and that was a huge part of our recruitment again this year. To go through the new signings, Matt Boehner, a right back from FC Cincinnati, very experienced. Has been in an organisation that's had an awful lot of success the last 2 years. Very athletic, very good going forward. Good footballer, so we're happy with him. I'm going kind of through the team, but the next one I can't say because we haven't announced him yet, so let's move on to the next one.
No, go ahead.
Tell us about him. We just can't say who he is. I'll give you a little clue, he's a left back. There we go.
Thank you.
Guy Bend, the central midfield player we signed from Reno, was at Louisville previously, again has been in the league for 3 years, has had a good amount of success and has played overseas in Israel. Strong ball winner, distributes it well, extremely hard worker, so we're pleased with him. And then we signed Oscar Umar, who's a younger central midfielder from Ghana, who played in Richmond for the last 2 years. Good footballer, technically very proficient, passes the ball well. Joaquin Rivas, who I think you'll all enjoy watching, is very creative. Probably gives us something a little bit different than what we missed. He's naturally left-footed, can create goals, can score goals, can play in a number of different positions underneath the striker. We're pleased with that one. Russell Cicerone, a wide player that we signed from Cincinnati, went to Buffalo, played PDL at Detroit, was at Portland Timbers 2. Previously at Cincinnati last year. Again, another one that I think a little bit of a rough diamond that maybe a few people have kind of, or he's gone unnoticed a little bit. Really athletic, really positive, wants to score goals, wants to get in good positions where he can be creative. And then Caleb Calvert, a forward that we signed from Colorado Rapids, who's had some loan spells at Charlotte Independence, has had 1 or 2 injury problems in the past, but we believe he's over those, and I think again, a young player that's really hungry to do well and has the potential to score goals. He's got, in my opinion, all the attributes that we would want from a forward. He's big, he's strong, he's powerful, he can hold the ball up well, and he's a decent finisher. So again, we're really excited about those guys, about implementing them and integrating them with the players that we're returning, and hopefully it gives us a well-balanced squad moving into this year. I haven't missed anybody, have I? Paris G, who has played all over the place. Left midfield, right midfield, left back, right back. We see him more as a right back. Can potentially play as a left back as well. Really good athlete, technically good, and another young player who's hungry to learn, to get better, and is really excited to be here and be part of what we're trying to build, which all of them are. And like I said, really, really pleased with the roster we've got. We believe every single one of those guys is going to be capable of playing and contributing it's going to be a tough conference this year. And I think we've got better and we've grown, but the league is growing and getting better as well. So really excited by the challenge that's ahead of us.
Just want to interject, Dan. We're joking about the character thing, but we love the character thing because, as you mentioned, it did prove its worth last year when we had a little rough spell.
Hi, I've got a question about the travel. Last year, when we've been in the East Conference, we were in the West Conference, we're back in the East again. And when we were in the West, I know there was lots of travel, the players, everywhere from Minnesota to Texas to California. And that's got to be grueling on the players, but also financially. So is it going to make a difference that now we're back in the East Conference, like how they train or your plans for this year? And then I have a second follow-up question.
So quickly, I'll say financially, very little difference between the East and the West, amazingly. But that's just how the league is structured. The league is laid out in the cities we have to go to, very little difference. As far as travel?
No, we'll prepare exactly the same as what we did last year. Process remains the same for us. I mean, we'll structure the week accordingly to cover all aspects of the game, and of course, when we're going to travel on the road, then we'll monitor the training. And I think for us this year, it's from a travel standpoint, it's going to be a lot easier for us. I think we have 4 or 5 bus journeys that are within 5 hours. A lot of the flights are short. Travel last year was extremely tough. We saw that. Going across to the west and with the time difference and the connecting flights and whatnot was a real challenge. But from a travel standpoint, anyway, in the east this year, I think it should help us and be a lot more conducive.
And my second question is, there going to be a fan player this year? Remember a couple years ago, we had...
Register.
30.
Mark. Resign Mark.
No, we didn't. So, no, it wasn't a budget. Well, maybe it was a budget issue, Tom. Yeah. 30 winners that we did. And so, yeah, so what we do is, it was the front office staff and the sales team who's here, apparently drinking heavily in the back row, or Colin's texting. Colin's making it. He's texting somebody that has already bought a ticket, seeing if they want to buy a second one. What we do each year is we look at those marketing things that we do, those interaction things that we do, and we evaluate them. And do they have value? There's a good response to them. And that one last year we decided not to do. Not going to tell you if we're going to do it this year or not. Something that we're always looking at, little things that we can add and make it special to be a season ticket member or to be a fan of the team. So perhaps we sign somebody to that program again. Perhaps we don't. But it's something that we're always looking at each year is, what else can we add to make something special and unique? So I think if you ever vote, you would want us to do it again, it sounds like. And is that nodding because you want to be signed? There we go. Okay, now we know the answer. There you go. Thank you.
Thank you. You mentioned that the practice starts on Monday. What time on Monday?
What time do we start training, or what time do we have to be here not to get fined for being late? 9 a.m. on Monday. 9 a.m. on Monday, we'll start training here at the park. Weather will not be a problem. Thanks, Tom.
So I have a preseason question. I know Ant will have the team ready for preseason, but Jeremy, now that it's publicly known that you're going to have a showdown at the Madison preseason match with Peter Wilt, Gallagher or Centipede, I want to know, what's your training regimen going to be? Can we count on you to take this seriously and uphold Club Pride? I mean, what are we looking at?
I think I've been set up to fail here, not by you guys, but by Peter. I'm sure Peter spends a lot of time playing video games and his journeys across the state of Wisconsin. So I need to find a local bowling alley over in Illinois. There's several that probably has Centipede or Gallagher, however we say it. If they would bring the trailer back, I could probably practice in the parking lot at work. That'd be okay, Pat? If I could win. So I will do my best to represent you guys and to win that arcade challenge against Peter Wilt on March 2nd. There's a trophy, I believe.
Hello.
This is really for the panel and everybody in this room. I have an invitation. I'm Justin Hill, Missouri State Senator, or I'm sorry, Representative, not a Senator.
Who let him
An invitation, 6 p.m. Monday night. I'm presenting a resolution to the Economic Development Committee, urging the MLS to award St. Louis an MLS team. Everyone here is welcome. You can provide testimony. You can just show up and show your support then in Jefferson City and our city's government. Thank you.
Thank you. Was that at the Capitol? Yes? At Jefferson. Thank you. Fred, can we get a bus?
You know, going into the preseason, are all the players healthy, or do you guys have any concerns about any of the players?
Everybody's healthy. Yeah, we don't have any concerns at the moment. They haven't started training yet.
I actually don't have a question, I have a comment. My husband and I, probably like a lot of people in this room, have been season ticket holders since the Athletica was here. And the Athletica did not make it, and AC did not make it. And I want to thank you guys for making FC make it. Because you can't do it without us, but we certainly can't do it without all of you either. So thank you.
I have a question for, I guess for everybody. What are the individual things that you guys are excited about in 2019? Because I know you all have your different areas of focus. So, I mean, with the new players or whatever it happens to be, what are you guys individually excited for in this next season?
Yeah, I'm going to go to the standard CFO joke. I'm excited about selling a lot more tickets, concessions, home playoff game or two. And I am excited about the possibility of all that, but, and I'm probably going to steal some of this. Jim said it in his opening comments, to have our coach back and to have the foundation of 11 players back is something we haven't had in our 4 years, now 5, going into a season. So that breeds just a completely different level of enthusiasm and excitement, I think, for what we can build upon in 19. So I'm really looking forward to seeing that come to fruition.
I would say I'm most excited to see the traveling support that we'll get to Nashville and Louisville and Indy and Kansas City. You know, there's a lot. Wow. I think that for me, that Tampa. Yeah. For me, that's the most exciting thing is just to see, when the guys walk out of the tunnel or whatever it is, the dugout, if we're in Louisville, I guess, for the baseball stadium. Just to see the look on their faces when they walk out, and they'll say they don't notice it or hear it, but they do, and you see it when they come walking out. I'm personally looking forward to seeing that.
I think for me, it's about the excitement around the game, whether it's MLS for the Lou, the excitement of having Anthony and his group back, the consistency of that. The staff is more consistent than ever. Just the excitement and everything that's going on around the game to see how that plays out this year. That's what I'm most excited about.
Yeah, I'm excited with obviously the squad that we've got, with integrating the new players and seeing how much growth can we make in 2019. To see the park full on a regular basis would be fantastic, and I understand that comes from us doing our job and winning games and being as high at the table as possible, and obviously challenging ourselves against what's going to be some tough games this year in the East. Like Jeremy said, some local derbies, so hopefully we get good travelling support, we'll get maybe some opposition teams will bring some fans here as well and creates a better atmosphere, and which again helps the players with their performance level. So I mean, I'm excited about everything, and obviously getting the players back out on the training field on Monday morning is something we've been waiting for the last 3 months, because it's been an extremely long off season, sat in that office watching film and planning and preparing. We're excited to get back out there and get back out in the fresh air.
And I would say a couple of things. First of all, to have our coach back with a coach also that fits the organization, the club, the values, the behaviors, the character of the overall club, and bringing back his team, that's your team. I feel very excited about that, and I think we got a great opportunity in front of us based on that. The other thing is just overall with the things that are going on today, I think we've got a great opportunity this year to pack the stadium. That's the one thing that, you know, I've been looking forward to. I love coming out here, and you guys are such a critical piece of just the overall experience in the environment. But you deserve it, and I believe the club deserves it, that we should have a packed house every night. Yes. I really do believe that. And, you know, Ant just mentioned it, just creating that experience. You know, it's not the size of the stadium and the number of people. I really believe it can be the experience and the fun and the excitement and the passion. And I think we have it at these games. And I'm really looking forward to, you know, having 2,000 fans dying to get in, but we just don't have the capacity to put them in the stadium. So that's one of the things that I'm excited to see, that you know, opportunity for us to figure out how do we manage, you know, more demand to get into the stadium. And you guys are such a big part of creating that. So I think we have that opportunity, along with the buzz around, you know, bringing an MLS team to St. Louis, which I think we will do that too. But I think through that process, we have an opportunity to create a lot of fun, to go out and win, and create an incredible experience at the games here. So that's what I'm excited about.
Hey guys, thanks once again for doing this. It's obviously a much nicer scenario than the last couple times we've subjected you to questions, so that helps. As I understand it, part of getting the new turf this year is that the pitch is being widened. Is that correct?
Pesh, do you want to answer this one?
No.
No, it's essentially the same within inches. Yes, within inches.
No, you're wrong.
Never mind then. Well, one thing I have noticed progressively is, from my personal vantage point, is all of the more new ad boards that have gone up the last couple of years throughout the season. I'm sure that means better revenue for the club, so that's good. It does kind of cut down on my dancing room.
That's a first. Kevin?
I'm a big fan of dancing, so we can address that.
He will sell a dance floor for next year.
Seriously though, it does kind of congest traffic in a very already congested area, where a lot of families walk through, not all of whom are ready to carry their children through all this trouble. Right, yeah, they're not prepared for this. Is there any sort of possibly improvements, maybe not this year obviously, but in the works that might sort of relieve that congestion and give some other alternate routes out?
Yeah, so actually it's a great question. So
I think he's asking about a capo stand.
Also that.
I'll let Jeremy take that last part. But when we made the changes to the field, actually the walkways were widened out there. Again, it's hard to see right now because of the snow. But all the walkways are a little bit wider, especially on the ends and in the corners, and maybe not as much on the east side. So we did make those changes. The field boards, honestly, serve two purposes. One is to help the club with revenue, and Kevin and his team do a great job at that. But the league, and I don't want to get fined, do they listen to the podcast?
No. Nobody listens to this podcast.
So the league was threatening to fine us for several years about security on the field, even though there was never a problem. There has to be a secure fence line essentially around the field, and so those field boards serve two purposes, and that's why they're there. So
have you looked into electric shock collars on our capos and the invisible fence system?
Considered and declined.
What if we got a sponsor for said electric?
Sold.
Kevin, talk to me tomorrow.
We'll worry about that when it happens.
I thought the grassroots license tweet that you guys sent out where you're working with a couple of your players this week was really neat. What do you guys see in value there? How did you get to that point? Why did you make that decision?
It's something that's been in the works for a while. You know, we know a lot of our guys' future is gonna end up in the game, whether that's eventually in a front office or as an agent or as a coach or hopefully maybe as a referee someday to help continue to raise the level of that. That'll be helpful. Sorry, Mike. But I think we're just trying to help them along with their career and their path, because at some point the ball is taken away and we have to move on to something else. And a lot of our guys do coaching here while they are players. We're trying to give them some avenues to pursue. And the coaching licensing program can get knocked by people in the U.S., but it is a good program. Ant just went through his pro license, spent an entire year going through it during the season. But it is time, it's tough from a time standpoint for a pro player. So we had to look outside the box. How can we make it work? How could we fit it in? We're lucky that we have the academy staff and the youth staff that can teach the course. Now it's another change U.S. Soccer has made. So it's something that we're looking to, how can we put it into the academy and into our youth programs as well? Because we know a lot of our players have professional aspirations, but they may not end up there. But they're going to want to stay in the game. So something we're looking at. We start with the first team, and can we implement it there and help those guys out from a timing standpoint? How can we put it into the academy, into our elite girls program, elite boys program, so we can just help continue to grow the game as much as we can. So the players are really appreciative of it. They've been excited all week. Not so much tonight when they're out there freezing, really cold, but it's been good to see just the response from them and across the country. We're trying to push the envelope as a club, and we're proud of it.
I think we talked about this a few minutes before tonight, Jeremy. The players appreciate it, and that's something that other clubs around the league are looking to us as leaders in this aspect. You guys kind of taking on a challenge that wasn't necessarily expected of you, but you guys are kind of leading the way. And I think that's a good mark for St. Louis FC.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's something that, look, word travels amongst players, and there's other guys out there that they consider everything when it comes to where they're going to end up playing, and the club that is looking out for their welfare beyond just what they can do for us during this current season. I think it helps us.
All right. Now I noticed Cordelia just left, so this question may get a bit blue, just so you know. We had some language issues last season. So you guys spent a lot of time talking about the goals for this season, like hosting a home playoff game, being better, scoring more goals, conceding less goals, even winning the championship, and God. But really, there's only one goal I think that a lot of us in here are concerned with. Can we finally beat fucking Louisville this year?
Yeah, look, nobody would love it more than me. I've been there with you guys since the very first game we walked through and shocked that place, and the double bird scenario that I got out of, being fine. I think I'm right there with you. So hopefully, yes, we can. But I think we have a great rivalry with them, and what they've done, on the field has been remarkable, and it's something that the guys in the locker room, look, they want to win every game, but they know it means something to the supporters, and it's something that they'll pursue.
Which game last year, more to the day-to-day stuff, which game last year gave you the most sense of satisfaction? Which game did you walk away from last year after a win saying and go, yeah, this is why we do what we do?
Reno away. That was, I hope I'm answering your question. That was for me the turning point. Go into a team, I think they hadn't lost for like 16 or 17 games, and then to go there and I thought we played well. They got a man sent off, and then we conceded right before half time, and we'd obviously had that 5 or 6 game spell leading into that obviously wasn't great, and you're walking in 1-0 down with an extra man thinking, what's going wrong? We regrouped, we were positive with the players, they went out, performed extremely well, and we scored obviously the 2 late goals, and you win that 2-1. And probably the first time I've ever done it, I got the guys together on the field after the game, and I said we need to use this as almost a starting point, if you like, or a springboard to really kick on now and use this momentum. And we look back, and you look back over how the season panned out, and I think that's really what gave us belief, it gave us momentum, it really brought everybody together, knowing that we went on the road and won at a really tough place to go. And then obviously we went on and had a fantastic run towards the end of the season. So I think that one, and then, I mean, I can't not mention that, the last game here against OKC. I mean, in my career as a player, as a coach, one of the best moments I've had. I mean, to see how happy and how joyous everybody was with the fireworks and being on the field and celebrating together, and took my 2 kids on there, and it was a real special moment. And seeing the joy on people's faces makes what we do worthwhile. And I'd love nothing more than to be able to give you more of those moments over the future years.
This question is it's a question for Jim Kavanaugh. Hope it's an okay platform to ask something MLS or Lou related. You've mentioned in past interviews about soccer being a foundational piece to our community, like the Blues and Cardinals, and I think all of us in here believe that this is what this club can become part of. Just a quick question. I know you said that you think that here we control our own destiny in St. Louis to make this, happen with MLS. So, do you still believe that in light of recent news? I also know that you said that you were hoping for verbal commitment, maybe from the MLS by the end of January. But most recently, you mentioned about 4 to 6 months hearing from MLS. So I wanted to ask a question about that. And then finally, sorry for all the questions, but as fans of soccer, you talk about selling out the stadium. So is there more that we can do as fans of soccer in St. Louis to help you guys push the ball over the line and not let this ownership go down?
Wow, it's quite a barrage of questions. I'll tell you,
We want answers and we want them now, Jim.
yes, and I'll tell you that man knows his stuff too. So no, your points were spot on. So a couple of things that I look at. I absolutely believe that soccer is a foundational piece of St. Louis. I mean, it is so much of the history of St. Louis, and I think it can be such a significant part of moving St. Louis forward in a more progressive way. And I think political leaders and business leaders need to look at that. We need to be more progressive across the board. Soccer is a global sport. We have a lot of different people in the room that from different places around the world. So I think St. Louis, we need to take advantage of that. And I think we've got a great opportunity, and you guys are an incredible demonstration of not just going as a fan, but going as, a passionate, involved, engaged fan in the game. So I do believe in that, and I do believe that, we can play a significant role, not just in advancing the game of soccer, but advancing our community through the game of soccer as we move forward. Another thing in regards to the time frame, I was looking at saying, at the end of January, do we think we can actually get a commitment from MLS? I would say I probably underestimated some of the complexity of some of the, I would say, political things and the things that we needed to do with the number of different organizations that were connected to the land, to secure the land. So we have moved that forward. I've specifically had conversations with individuals at the MLS today. And I think we are in a really good spot, and I do believe that we control our own destiny as much as you look at the Austin thing. I look at that was a byproduct of, I think, a little bit of a mishap in Columbus that created this. Trying to be.
Oh, that's right. You're still talking to Don.
Correct. And this podcast doesn't go beyond the room. So I think that created this opportunity for Austin, which is great. I think Austin is a progressive, town and city and has a lot going on. I think the movement of an owner from one area, transplanting to a new area. I think that's gonna create some challenges to really get that up and running. I don't think it's something that you can't overcome, but you look at what we're doing here and go back to the point of focusing on the things that we can control. I think, without self-promoting what we're doing, I think the ownership group that we have put together here, based on our ties and connections from a business, community, philanthropic, and deep soccer ties in the community, is second to none. I think we have an ownership group that's as good as any ownership group, and I believe that the MLS looks at that and sees that also. And you guys are a big part of that, this kind of grassroots development to build this kind of soccer pyramid that we have. So I believe that we have focused on the things that we can control, and the MLS is taking notice. I believe that they want this to happen here. I mean, this is a great, geographically, if you look at it just like the things that we're talking about here, about the competition with Louisville, and you look at what we would have with Kansas City, and you would have with Nashville, or you have with Cincy in different areas. It would be fantastic, just like the things that we have with St. Louis FC. So, at the end of the day, we have focused on that. We will be going up and visiting with Don Garber and his team in the very near term, and to have more serious discussions about how we advance exactly what we're doing and how we get commitments reciprocally. How we're going to commit to what we need to do to make sure that we nail everything, and we'll be asking for the same thing from them. So I feel, that the timing's probably a little bit longer than that end of January time, but, it's not going to be that far out there. From my perspective, we've stepped up to the things that we said we were going to do, and we're going to continue to do that, and I think, I do believe we'll make it happen.
Yeah.
I think I answered all the questions, but I'm not sure. I missed a few in there.
The other part was, what can we as fans do other than, tweeting about it, keeping the hashtag going, but also supporting St. Louis FC. I think that's a big part of it. We need people coming out and supporting the team we have now, because that is ultimately a part of the bigger organization.
Yeah, it's a huge part, and there is nothing that I think would advance our position to bring MLS to St. Louis than creating more excitement, here. Game experience, just buzz that we would have, and again, these are all fun things from my perspective. And at the end of the day, there's no reason you can't have fun while you're working hard to do it, and this is a great opportunity to do that, and I think connect with our community. So I guess what I would ask is, how do we make those connections to a broader base of fans? Anything that you guys can think about, we're all ears. We've got ideas, there's things that we're doing, and I think that can benefit specifically what we're doing this season to create that incredible experience, game day experience, and I think that will help advance our position with MLS. So again, thank you guys for all you do.
First off, first, I just wanted to say thank you guys for taking the time to be here tonight. It's great to be back here, and I can't wait for March 9th. It's going to be awesome to be back in the park in the corner. My question is basically off that, about getting the stadiums more populated, getting people out here. Have you guys considered or been close to, or what would be the right situation to maybe bring in a more recognizable name to draw in the people that aren't giving SDLFC a chance yet, that may have seen people playing internationally or playing in the European leagues, that might help bring in people that haven't given us a chance yet? And Freddie Adu is not happening.
We don't have the budget for that.
Thank you. Steve Petcher's a household name. We're going to sign down.
Can we afford a patch?
Patch is back. No, I mean, think, it's a valid question. I mean, there's a few clubs in our league that have gone that route. I don't know if it's always worked out for them. I think at the end of the day, in sports, what wins and what gathers attention is winning. And it is a team. There's a locker room full of guys that want to be here for a certain purpose. And that doesn't mean that some of those guys couldn't be here for that purpose. But as Ant said before, it's about finding those guys that are going to be together. And could a big name change the influence? I just don't know if that matters. I think in this town, winning is a big piece of it. And continue to build on what we've all been doing for the last number of years. And it takes time, as you guys said. You've been around for 9 years, and we've been around going into 5. It just it still does amaze me when I'm around town and somebody claims they don't know who we are, and that bothers me. Something still amazes me, but it's just the reality of a young club, and a club that's continuing to grow, and we just have to continue to see if we can push it forward and see what we can make this.
I just wanted to say, again, like Ariel said, thank you. This can be my 3rd season tickets. But what I want to know is what's going to happen this year with the TV coverage, because I still meet a lot of people that don't even know that we're out here. I try to push it as much as I can, but I thought it seemed like when the TV games came on, we were starting to get a little bit more buzz.
Okay, so complicated answer. Great question, though. How people are consuming media is changing. And so, though somebody my age probably relates to TV, the younger generation is not.
He just called you old, Tina.
I said my age.
You are also old.
People are consuming media differently, and so ESPN Plus, though it has its flaws, the streaming and the subscription and those kinds of things, that's where it's going. That's why the league chose that. For us, TV is a very expensive proposition. I'll just be brutally honest about it. It's not a moneymaker. And so for us, we decided to allocate our funds differently this year. But we didn't close the door. We had a really good meeting with KTVI and KPLR about we're just going to take 1 year off from that and then make a decision the following year. And so, again, it's some of it's generational, but a lot of media is consumed on phones and iPads and tablets and those kinds of things, and that's just not TV based. So for us, it was a tactical decision just for 19, but we will look at it again for 2020.
Do we have any more questions from the field? Please? Nope. Okay, I got one. This is specifically for Ant and Jeremy. When you're sitting down and you're looking at that big empty board where you have slots to fill, I mean, we've mentioned it, thank goodness we brought back some players so you weren't starting from scratch, but you're listing out the guys that, because you've both been in this league for several years, you both know some of the players you've gone up against, and you're identifying targets that may be available. Any of them this year that we did sign that you were like, yes, we got that guy? I mean, they're all great. They've all got great characters. We love them all. But was there one or two that you just said, yeah?
All of them. Nice. Genuinely. No, I think when we make the decisions at the end of the year as to who we wanted to keep and who we released, then obviously spots open up, and we've got a document that we work from of attributes for each position. These are the characteristics we want them to have and tick certain boxes, but we're constantly evaluating. Even when we're preparing for our games, we go through, if we're preparing for our next opponent, we generally will watch 3 to 4 of their last games. So we're constantly watching players around the league. I mean, I watch probably a week, probably 20 games. So we're constantly being able to see the better players at different clubs, not just in USL, maybe on MLS rosters. We had a meeting yesterday about our recruitment process, and so it's not like we just all of a sudden go, right, what are we going to do? We need to find a left back. Where are we going to start? We've already got a list of probably 5 to 6 names of these are the guys that we want to go for. Then obviously it comes down to, and this is probably best hearing from Jeremy, but numbers and what have we got, what can we spend, and because there's going to be certain players out there that are going to be probably going to ask for too much money. We would all love to to have big name players, and it's obviously not possible. We've got a budget to work towards, but we feel like we've done a good job with what we've got, that we can maximise them and they fit into what we want. Because the other thing is understanding the culture that we've got, that we've created, that we want to keep growing and keep improving, and it's important that those individuals want to be here as well. And we probably have 3 to 4 conversations with them before we actually make a decision. We call probably 3 or 4 ex-coaches that they played for, players that they played with, to really get a real gauge for what they're like and as to how they're going to mesh and how they're going to fit in. Because it's all well and good us watching a player on film and, yeah, he ticks all the boxes, he looks really good, but, well, he's from California, he's probably not going to like the cold weather when he comes in February when it's snowing and it's -6 or whatever it's out there now. So there's a lot.
Wales.
Yeah, well, no, yeah, it's just colder than Wales, trust me. But, so there's lots of things that go into it, and it's not a process that we take lightly, and we do overnight. We try. I would like to think we're very thorough, very detailed with it, because ultimately this game's about the players. But it's about having good players that can obviously help you win games. So we're confident we've got that. Do you want to add?
I'll just steal Ann's answer and say all of them, truly, because of the creativity it took and the support of our leadership to make it happen this year in terms of how we're going to put this roster together. We had to think outside the box in terms of some contracts and some things that we did behind the scenes to free up some funds and move some things around to be able to put this group together. So there was a time where the number at the bottom was in a certain color that we don't like, and we were able to tweak that number to get it to a better color, and it was allowed us to get in a good spot. I would say the last thing is the versatility of the roster. Ann mentioned earlier, Paris G can play 4 or 5 spots. For us, we want a small roster. We need those academy kids to be part of it. We need to provide that opportunity for development and growth to see if we can help produce the next Josh Sargent, the next Aiden Stanley, those type of guys. So we have to have a good number of roster spots for those guys. So we need some versatility. So we talked about Matt from Cincinnati. He can play right and left back. Russell can play almost any of the front 4 spots. I gave away a little bit of the lineup, perhaps, situation there with the formation. And then I did, okay, good. And then Joaquin could do the same. So, but then somebody like Calvert, who is mainly a forward, but somebody that is still young in his career. So really excited about all of them because there's different stories that they all bring, and the creativity that we as a group had to do in order to put this roster together in a challenging year with 7 expansion teams is not easy to recruit against because they have to sign 20-some players. We had to sign 8 or 9, and that's a big difference when they're going to have to build up an entire team, and we're not, and they're starting from scratch, and we got guys under contract and option years and all that good stuff. So it was a really good group effort, and really pleased with how it's come about. Now we'll see what they can do together on the field.
Unknowingly, this actually ties in really nicely with that. Once you guys have identified who you want to have free agent-wise signing for the team, what's part of the sales pitch for you guys to the player? Is there anything about St. Louis FC or your organization or the grassroots or whatever it might be? What's your sales pitch to those people that differentiates? I guess obviously playing time is always part of it, but maybe something besides playing time. What's part of your sales pitch for St. Louis FC?
At the end of the day, money is a big piece. Let's not kid ourselves. Everybody wants to get paid. But I think the biggest piece that we sell, that we put into the fabric of our recruitment, is our people. And that's Ant, and that's Brian, that's Max, that's Vega, the kit man, and it's you guys. They know the corner. They know that when people score goals here, if they're smart, they go that way to celebrate. And they know it's a good place to play in our environment. Everything from the facilities to soccer matters in St. Louis, and it matters at this club. And the fact that our leadership team are soccer people, those are things we talk about. And I think the fact that St. Louis and our club has aspirations, and we're trying to push the envelope, we're trying to do things, that's a big piece. But it comes down to people. You sell your people. You sell what they're about, and the group that was coming back was a big piece. There's connections between, some of them we didn't even know about until honestly today. There's connections between our guys coming back and a lot of our pieces that we brought in. And so we're constantly pushing that, and just that we're trying to be a club that has aspirations of doing more and really being on that cutting edge.
So I guess my question is going to be kind of the flip side of some of this. When we got to the end of last year, we talked about the guys that are coming back, and without talking about anybody specifically, but what's the process when you evaluate the guys that aren't coming back? Is it a contract issue? Is it they just didn't fit the system? Is it they didn't want to come back? Is it kind of all of those things? Can you talk a little bit about how that, we did see a pretty tight-knit group of guys last year, and maybe some of us were surprised by some of the players that didn't come back, and maybe others were glad some of the guys, there's always those situations. But just maybe a little insight on how that process works.
Yeah, I'll go first. It was probably the toughest decisions we've had to make, or I've had to be involved in since day one in terms of guys coming back, because it was a tight-knit group, and everybody contributed last year. I mean, there were so many times, whether it was an Austin Ledbetter, scoring a goal against Seattle when he played a number of games in a run. We told him that in his exit interview, how important he was to the piece. And for him, it was a matter of he needs to go get more games and play. So I guess I wasn't supposed to talk about certain people, but I did, so whatever. But the process is, it was very professional. It's very just to the point, and matter of fact, here it is, and we move on. But the reasons why are because of all of them, whether it's a contract situation or they're looking for something different that we're not sure that we can provide the environment for it. Maybe it just wasn't a fit. They're looking for something different in their next step, and it's usually all the above to different circumstances. But everybody walked out of that room with a good handshake and looked in the eyes from Ant and myself, and you just watch a lot of Hard Knocks episodes. You learn how to deal with those situations, and nobody threw anything, and you try to do it the right way, and it was good. It was really good. It was tough. I mean, I got a daughter at home that grows attached to these guys. You guys grow attached to them, and we do as well. And because there were so many good people last year in the locker room that aren't with us this year, just the business and the professional side of it, and it makes it difficult. But you move on, you move forward.
Can I add something? Sorry. Yeah, I'll add to that. And like Jeremy said, they were really difficult decisions because of the human element. Because I pride my leadership style and management style on building relationships and building close bonds with the players, because ultimately we say to them all the time, we want two things. We want to win, and we want to help them improve and develop as individual players and as people. So when you work with people for 11, 12 months like we did, and then you have to have difficult conversations, it's not easy. But what I will say is every decision was made in the best interest of the club. And sometimes you have to let people go that you've got a lot of time for, that you really like, but ultimately you think for the best of the club, they have to move on.
So my question now is more along the lines of Jeremy, you said that when you have to bring up academy players and things like that to give them playing time and this sort of things, like one thing that occurred to me is that we are the top team in our kind of the ladder, I guess, as far as St. Louis is concerned. So what does it mean to you guys whenever you look at the development of those players and how important it is, the fact that we are the representative of, the top of the St. Louis chart, so to speak, to develop those players and for them getting playing time development?
I think the club's position has always been, those minutes are earned, whether you're an academy guy or you're a pro on a 2-year contract. We're not in a position, maybe where some other clubs in our league have to play certain younger players because they're looking towards the future, mainly talking about MLS2 teams, just be honest there. But for us, it has to be earned. And I think the biggest story I can tell is there was a point where Hayden Stanley, had some frustration 2 years ago, 3 years ago, whatever it was, and he wasn't playing. Then he got some minutes and he went to a national team camp, and he realized that he was, in a national team camp with other guys from MLS2 teams, and they were guaranteed opportunities to play because it was mandated so-and-so has to play so many minutes throughout the year. And Aiden came back and we were catching up on how was national team camp, how are things, and he said, well, I know this, when I play, I earn it. And that's something that, as an independent team and a team that has a strong academy underneath it, it has to be earned. It's important to earn that day-to-day environment and the environment that these guys create for their growth and development, but they're under no demands that those guys have to play. It has to be earned. And I think at the end of the day, everybody in this room has had to earn where they are and where they're going. I think that's no different on the playing field. And as Brian said with the goalkeeper situation, it comes, sports about merit. And just because they're 17, they have a promising future, they can't help us win on Saturday, they're not going to be on the field. But we don't treat them any differently, but we do have a plan for them and spend time with them. But it's good that they can continue to get games in the academy system. when they're not playing with that first team.
Yeah, so I'll take a little bit different angle from your question, which is being the top soccer organization in the area. I think we take that responsibility really seriously. St. Louis FC is connected to St. Louis Scott Gallagher, but St. Louis FC is the hope and the dream of every soccer player in St. Louis, from a male standpoint, at least currently. And so we've had players that have played for Lou Hughes, we've had players that have played for a variety of clubs in the area. So we take that responsibility very seriously. And so our staff does a really good job of working with all the clubs in the area to make sure that if a player is good enough and is on the path, that St. Louis FC can be a realistic option for him. And so I don't know if that's what you were asking, but that's something that when St. Louis FC was created, became very apparent to us that that's a responsibility that we have, and we need to work very hard for them.
Johnny Garcia. I got a quick question. Ant, you referenced the last game to seal the playoffs. What a great moment. Burge referenced this a few times, the memories we're making with our kids. A couple of the other memories I've had are both U.S. Open Cup memories. The KC game, the game here against Chicago in the 70th, 4th minute, the crowd. The corner's always crazy, but for some reason in that game, in the 70th minute, both sides went crazy at one time. It was magical. We didn't win the game, but I remember that moment, and my kids remember that moment. The U.S. Open Cup I love it, and I really enjoy how it brings the lower club teams up. I would love to see a long, obviously we all would, Open Cup run. Do you guys prepare any differently for that, or what are your thoughts on the Open Cup?
No, we go into every game trying to win. I would love to be able to take the team on a run and potentially host an MLS team or go on the road and play in a big MLS stadium. So I want to go on record and make sure everybody's fully aware that no matter what the game, we're prepared to win. I mean, the Louisville game last year, we toyed with a couple of ideas and how we would set the lineup up, because we had, if you remember, we had a game on the road in Colorado like 2 or 3 days later, and we had a lot of travel coming up and time change, altitude. What do we do? Do we maybe play 2 or 3 of the guys against Louisville that hadn't been getting minutes, but then it's potentially a weaker team, and we know how big it is for the fans, and we want to win, and we ended up going there and playing what we classed at the time was our strongest lineup to try and win. Unfortunately, we didn't win. We didn't get the result we wanted, but it's important for you to all to understand we don't go into any game trying to do anything other than winning.
Anybody else? Anybody got any more questions? Just want to add that, I mean, this year, Ant, you came in at the worst possible time last year, and you saw us all melt down when they told us we were going to be in the West. It wasn't because we didn't have feelings for the team, it was because we had too many feelings for the team. And this year, I think with the East, I mean, there's literally 5 road trips that a lot of fans are going to make. And the earlier start times helps with watch parties and all that. So I know you said there's really no difference when you're preparing for the East or the West, but does it make a difference to the guys when they show up in Louisville and they look out and they see 100 fans or 200 fans in the crowd? And I'm just saying this because Indy's bringing 2 buses to the home opener, March 9th. Indy is bringing 2 buses. So we got to up our game a little bit. But does it make a difference to the players when they see the fans in the away stands?
What happened with the game at Swope at the end of the year? Yes, I'd like to think that kind of answers the question. They notice it. They, like I said, on behalf of them, like I can speak that they are extremely appreciative of the support that you give us. So that the more people we can get out here at home games, and the more we can get on the road at those local derby games, if you like, will certainly make a big difference to us. And like I said, that was one of the other games actually, Matt, when you mentioned what games were you really satisfied. That was one of the probably in the top 2 or 3. Again, because of the fact that we had so many of you travel across the water, so am I right in saying that was the first time you travelled and seen us win on the road?
Yes.
So that again, don't think that those things go unnoticed, because they make a big difference to us, and the players and the staff do talk about it.
Want to give a big shout out to Schlafly. You bought 1 bus last year, maybe 3 this year would be awesome. Big round of applause for Schlafly. Any more questions? Guys, would you like to say anything to close out tonight?
Any questions you guys have for us, or I guess a question I would have for you, what was the most exciting thing in regards to last year, or if you look at the history of the club, what do you think we should be thinking about, or are there things, what was most exciting about last year? Any specific games, any specific things that happened?
The corner over here said they missed Fred rolling out a beer cart to the tailgate.
We can chalk that one up. I think that'll even fit in his budget. So.
Jim, that win at KC was huge. Like that win, and I'm taking credit for it.
Zach is saying the win at KC.
Yeah, I do take credit for it. So I came in late, and then we scored. So you're welcome.
Just for the fans at home, Zach takes credit for the win at Swope Park.
I love this.
It's like I'm live tweeting the event.
My thing is more wins at those places, at Slugger, at in KC, and those. I know it's not a something you can produce, but those instilling that. I know Ant says he goes out every game to win, but instilling the fact that
But sometimes really go out to win.
that kind of feeling. That's my thing.
We're going to put that one down twice.
Are you gonna top 30 grand this year? Charitable donations? Oh yeah. No. Let's make it happen.
Definitely. Thank you guys for all you do.
For those on the podcast, it was shouted out that are we going to top 30 grand in charitable donations? And I want to say, everybody who gives at the charity du jour, amazing. Thank you very much. But also thank you to our leadership, Jim Kavanaugh, Tom Strunk, Worldwide Technology, and St. Louis FC. You guys without you guys promoting it, and without you guys, dipping heavily into your own pockets, we wouldn't get there. So thank you.
Jim, to answer your question, I think I actually was ironically in Kansas City watching on a laptop when we clinched here, and I was definitely still sent chills down my back watching on ESPN Plus. But I think everything you do game day doesn't go unnoticed, whether it's the silly pull a tall boy out of the mystery cooler, or
That's one of the least silly things we do.
I do think everything that goes into the game day experience does make a difference, and I think it's one of those things. They've said it a lot on the podcast. If you can get somebody out to a game, get them to a second game, they're hooked. So as long as you guys can keep the game day experience to that level, I think it'll continue to snowball from there.
Thank you.
Yeah. One more.
I'll echo that too. So not just the game day experience, but in particular, you can run the gamut of things to do at the game. So whether you want to jump up, get silly, and scream and cheer, sit in Section 8, stand in Section 8, if you want to bring your family, it is one of the most unique things in St. Louis that you can do is come to Soccer Park. You have tailgating, you have excitement, you have a family atmosphere. I've got a little kid and a wife who just absolutely love to run around on the side fields, on the kid zone. Anything that we can do to expand the family atmosphere, I think, would just do wonders to draw people in. So winning is great to talk about people. It's like, oh, we've got a winning team, you should come watch them. Once they get here, they're not just sold by the product on the field, they're sold by what they can do walking around, the environment, the people they see excited. The kid zone in particular, I know, is a huge hit, and just expanding things and opportunities like that to draw people of all ages is just huge.
No, thank you guys very much, and thanks for the feedback on it. And I guess on behalf of the entire team up here, we can't tell you how much we appreciate all that you do. I mean, keep your ideas coming. We listen to all of them. Trust me. You guys are a very creative group. sometimes too creative, but no, it's a great relationship that we have, and we're really excited about this year. Again, I'll be redundant. I would love to see that we are just packing the stadium, and the challenge we have is, irritating ourselves because we're turning away fans at the gate. So, anything you guys can do, we'll continue to push it out. We're going to be looking at different things. We'll leverage everything we're doing with MLS, and because we've got a number of, great games, great experiences out here, and great years. So, again, thank you guys very much. We can't tell you how much we appreciate it, and really looking forward to an exciting year coming in front of us here. So, thank you guys.
Matt brings up a great point with regards to there's really something for everyone that comes to St. Louis FC. It's not just about the corner. I mean, that's what we focus on. That's where most of us stand. But I mean, it really is an experience for virtually anyone in St. Louis. And I mean, I think it's amazing that you've been showing us slides of the new stadium renderings for MLS behind you here the whole time. I mean, to give us a sneak peek, that's amazing. But maybe talk about the comments you've made about different I'm joking, people. Different neighborhoods in the new stadium renderings. I think that's been one of the most interesting comments you've made. I think it speaks to you want to continue what we've built at St. Louis FC, that it's an experience for everyone in St. Louis.
Yeah, I would say there's in anything you do, whether you're a player, you're a coach, just continuing to have an insatiable appetite for learning and getting better. One book, you guys are huge soccer fans, and especially growing up in South St. Louis. So somewhere, but if you go, there's a book.
Wales is a small neighborhood in South St. Louis.
Right. A book out there called The Club. It's a new book this year. It's about kind of I don't know if you read it yet, but it's about the evolution of the EPL, and literally we'll go through kind of the emergence and how the league was formed, and the evolution from media to actually stadium builds. You'd enjoy it. You guys would enjoy it also.
We'll put that in the show notes.
Yes. So my point being is that to the neighborhood effect, they're literally, when I would look at even the European League or the EPL, the stadiums over there are very, very soccer-centric stadiums. Even the spanking brand new stadiums, they don't create the unique fan experiences like are being created in some of the stadiums. And some of them are one that you're not drinking during the game. So, yes, so everybody
excellent. I gasp from the crowd.
But when you look at some of the things, so it's an evolution. So when we go out, we visit these other brand new stadiums, whether it's Kansas City or it's LAFC, Cincy or whatever, their designs are they're kind of, it's a work in process. And so we're taking all of that in to figure out how do we create optimal density in the stadium? How do you create optimal soccer-centric fan experience from a viewer standpoint? But then how do you also create these neighborhoods that support different, ethnic backgrounds or different groups like the Louligans, like different families with younger kids. It could be, so there's different types of pods of groups and experiences that are being created. And this is something that, if you guys see something out there, or you see something unique, like some of the I would say, the more passionate fans, and a lot of them, they're standing the entire game. So if you're building, is that something you want? Is that something that, would be attractive?
I've got a whole list.
Yeah. So Tom and I have been through that, but
we'll also post Tom's cell phone number in the show notes, so if anyone wants to text Tom.
And when he's out distributing beer at the game, you guys can actually give him more feedback. But anyway, to the point, we're all ears as we go to build that. We're collecting as much insight into creating the best experience, and it's actually pregame.
And I think it's
during the
important to
game.
know, you have talked to us. It's not, you're not going into this blind. There have been talks up to now, but you're still incorporating feedback.
Yes, yes. So anything you guys see, other stadiums, other environments, we're all ears on it. So, I mean,
There's like a little train that runs through the supporter section to deliver beers.
Yes. Like
I mean, you'll have to talk to,
it's going to be a little drone, a little hovercraft. It's going to go around.
Worldwide technology, they make dreams happen.
Right.
We need drones.
Drones. Anybody else have any more questions tonight? Let's give a big round of applause for our guests. I think I speak for us all. We very much appreciate you giving us this evening, talking about the future, talking about what we've got planned for 2019. In return, we know 98% of you have bought season tickets. There's still 2% of you that need to talk to my friends in the back and at least get a flex pack. Come on, let's meet halfway, get a flex pack. People listening to the podcast, we need you guys to get season tickets. We need you to subscribe to the podcast. We need you to buy a scarf. We need you to follow Sarah on Instagram because she does a great job. But basically, just keep talking about St. Louis FC. It's been mentioned a couple times tonight. Jeremy gets out there and there are still people that don't know we exist. We need to keep pushing that button. It's hard to believe, as loud as we are and as vocal as we are with our support, but we all know soccer fans, we all have friends and family, maybe not soccer fans, but just enjoy a good time. That's what the corner is about. The MLS for the Lou movement has opened up new avenues for us to reach new people who are excited about what's the future, but let's not let them forget there's a present, and we all know there's a history to St. Louis soccer. So everybody come out, everybody bring a friend, and let's have a good time. Thanks.